Hi everyone, I'm Josh and welcome to Josh Wright Piano TV. Let's talk about imposter syndrome today. This is an important topic for every musician. Imposter syndrome, I typed this into ChatGPT. What is a good definition for imposter syndrome? And it told me the following. Imposter syndrome is a psychological pattern in which individuals doubt their accomplishments and have a persistent fear of being exposed as a fraud despite evident success or external validation. People with imposter syndrome often attribute their achievements to luck or external factors rather than their own skill or effort. They may feel they don't deserve their success and worry that others will discover they aren't as capable as they seem. This can lead to feelings of inadequacy, anxiety, and self-doubt, even in highly competent individuals. This, as I said, is very important for all musicians to overcome and avoid because we are all on display at some point. I have had a few students say, no one will ever hear me play except you, and I've chipped away at that until they will at least play for some family members and then maybe some friends, and then they're used to performing. But they say, I'm not good enough to play for someone else. Who told them that? That is a definition of imposter syndrome. I know I've gone through imposter syndrome. I've had certain struggles in my technique or in musicality or whatever it might be where I didn't feel like I was good enough. And even issues that I had to overcome with basic technical things. I've shared openly on this channel that I had a weird finger tucking issue for about the period of 2 years, about 2021 to 23. Now, I was able to mask that and still get through a lot of concerts and play a lot of great repertoire. It wasn't so debilitating that I had to stop, but that was very strange to me. I asked all of my teachers, and it turned out that it had a lot to do with inner anxiety, and once I addressed those issues, it started to dissipate. But I felt like an imposter. I'm like, how can I teach high-level piano skills if I'm having a basic issue that a lot of my students don't deal with? But the funny thing is, if you ask any professional, I'm not going to say any professional, but most professionals, they will all admit that they have weaknesses. And a lot of them go through strange things. I won't name any names, but I know a pianist who I admire greatly that took time off because they were having a weird hand issue as well. And I'm sure you can think of plenty of examples if you're in this classical music world. That doesn't mean that they are an imposter. It means that they are facing a trial and they're overcoming something. We're all on a journey. Even Daniel Trifonov, who I think is a complete master, and his teacher Sergei Babayan, those are two of my favorite pianists. He's still on his journey. I'm not saying he has weaknesses. I'm sure he would say that he did, but we don't see them because he's such a master. But he's on a journey. He's always learning new repertoire. He has not mastered every composition in the piano repertoire. No one has. There's too much out there. We're all on this journey. My advice is to not let your shortcomings deter you from sharing your music with others, and don't let anxieties or feelings of self-doubt prohibit you from exploring new repertoire, from taking risks. Of course, you don't want to start learning Rachmaninoff Third Piano Concerto 1 year into your studies, or 5 or 10 years into your studies, perhaps. That's kind of a Mount Everest of piano, Goldberg Variations, Liszt Transcendental Etudes. Be wise with how you do it, but take a risk. Play something out of the ordinary. Play music of lesser-known composers. Play things that challenge you. I remember I was on a quest for years to get better at double thirds because I was so bad at them. And I remember the answer came when I was 27, about 11 or 12 years after I'd played the double thirds etude slowly on my Chopin Etudes album that I put out as a teenager, just as a passion project. And it was a young girl in our studio at Michigan, in Logan Skelton's studio, that said, why are you trying to play that fingering when you could easily do an inverted fingering? And it was like the heavens had opened. I was like, I never tried that. And within 1 week, I'd made more progress than 10 years of trying to beat that other fingering into my hand. I just hadn't considered doing this 4-2-5-1, but that fit my hand better. I know a lot of people who think that's psychotic. Why would you ever use that? That was an example of imposter syndrome. I could have said, can't do it. I'm an imposter. I should never play things with double thirds because I'm bad at them. But out of curiosity and just personal fulfillment, it's not like I was trying to perform the double thirds etude at every chance I got. I avoided performing, but I would still work on it. And then when that piece of advice finally came, it unlocked what I'd needed to, and I started performing it more. I could have let those fears and anxieties completely squash my interest in that piece and interest in the concept, and then I wouldn't have discovered a lot of the pitfalls that I could then share with my students and share on this channel with things that I did incorrectly with double thirds. But I just kept churning. I kept questioning, what could I do a little bit different? And when I least expected it, a little piece of revelation came through. That's a really good lesson in life. Don't give up with things, and certainly don't let this idea that you're a fraud or an imposter prevent you from doing something you are extremely passionate about. So I hope something in this video has been helpful. If you wouldn't mind hitting subscribe and liking this video, it helps it to be shared with more people around the world, which is the goal of this channel, to spread as much good information as possible with these videos. I'll also leave a link to my paid courses in the description below if you'd like to go even deeper than this channel goes over. Finally, I will leave a link to a webinar containing 10 of my favorite tips to take your playing to a higher level. If you haven't seen that, I'm currently in the process of filming another webinar, and I'll be taking this 10 tips to take your playing to a higher level one down. So if you haven't seen that, go check that out in the next month or two. I'm hoping to have that new webinar up. And then finally, I'll leave a link to my gear kit, all the gear, lighting, microphones, everything I use in this studio to make these videos if you're wanting to do something similar. Have a great week. Good luck in your practice sessions.